Does West Los Angeles suck? In this video, we're going over the top 10 reasons of why you may not want to move to West LA. Now, you've probably heard West LA is a great place to live, and there are many reasons to move here. In fact, I was born and raised. I'm a little biased. I love it here, but my head is not so far in the clouds where I can't see some of the negatives about the area. And in speaking with my clients, friends, family, they've also shared their opinions of what they like the least about living in the West Los Angeles area. So, West Los Angeles, what area are we talking about? Border on the west would be the ocean, the beach. On the east would be Robertson Boulevard. To the north would be the Santa Monica Mountains. And to the south would be LAX. I mean, living by the ocean, having great beach access, hiking trails right in your own backyard, great food, great restaurants. I mean, what could be so bad about West LA? Well, it is an interesting area because there's this weird juxtaposition of multi-million-dollar homes and a pretty prevalent homeless population where the streets can be pretty dirty. And it's just an odd thing where you're doing maybe some high-end shopping and walking by a homeless encampment. Also, there is a price to pay when living this close to the beach, and that you'll see that in the form of housing and just the general cost of living. So in this video, get ready. We're gonna go over the top 10 reasons of why West LA may not be the right fit for you. All right, let's just jump into the cost of living, more specifically the cost of housing. If you wanna see cost of living and what it's like to live in West LA, make sure you hit up one of our other videos called The Cost of Living in Los Angeles. But let's talk specifically housing, because of course that's gonna be your most expensive part of living. So we'll just go over rent real quick. The average rent is around $2,300 a month for an apartment / condo. If you're talking a house, it's around anywhere between like $4,000 and up to like $6,000, $7,000. Of course, you're getting into the beach communities or the Pacific Palisades, you're talking $10,000, $11,000, $12,000, $13,000, $15,000 a month. So now let's say you're considering buying a home. Let's get into some details about that. In general, the West LA area for a 3-bedroom, 3-bath home, about 2,000 square feet, you're looking about at $2.2 million. For a condo that's 2-bedroom, 2-bath, about 1,500 square feet to purchase that, you're looking at about $1.1 million. Now, as I mentioned, West LA consists of coastal region and a non-coastal area. So let's say you want to live closer to the ocean within a couple of miles or right along the beach. Let's go over the housing expenses for that. So the median price for a house along the coast, 3-bedroom, 3-bath, 2,000 square feet, you're looking at about $3 million. And for a condo that's 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,500 square feet, you're looking at about $1.2 million. Now, let's say you're cool living in the West Los Angeles area, don't need to be right on the beach, don't have to necessarily walk or bike to the beach, but just a little bit further east. Let's go over the median price for a home there. For a 3-bedroom, 3-bath house, 2,000 square feet, you're looking at about $1.9 million. And for a condo, 2-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,400 square feet, you're looking at about $900,000. So you can see the cost of housing is really expensive. It's actually one of the most expensive areas in the West LA area, and it's really prohibitive for a lot of people to move there from other parts of the country and also other parts of LA. I mean, people may want to live here, but it's just so expensive. And that's a big drawback. It's a big negative to having to live in West LA because if your housing expenses are that much, you've got to be earning quite a bit of income just to make your standard of life, somewhat decent. As a reminder, I'm Dave Fine with the Real Estate Dads, a licensed real estate agent right here in Los Angeles. Love doing videos about what it's like to live, work, and play in the LA area. And we love helping people relocate and move to Los Angeles. My team and I are absolutely here for that. So make sure you reach out to us with a phone call, text, email. We've got your back when moving to Los Angeles. Also, if you like what you see on these videos, make sure you subscribe, tap the bell to get notified for new videos, hit that like button if you like what you see, comment below. We always like to hear from our audience, ask questions, and I'll be happy to answer them as well. Another reason why people may not want to live in West Los Angeles and why people are moving away from West Los Angeles is the large homeless community that we have here in the West LA area. And I just mentioned you're paying exorbitant prices for housing, and then right in your neighborhood, you've got a large homeless population. And I'm not talking, a few people here and there. We're talking about large encampments under many of the freeway underpasses. We have what we call tent cities, where actually the city puts out bathrooms and showers for them. You just have rows and rows and rows of tents and people living out on the streets. And you have this along the beach too. If you go to Venice Boardwalk and in Santa Monica, it's very prevalent there. Again, it's just this weird thing. You've got multi-million-dollar homes, high-end shopping, high-end restaurants, and you're literally walking by someone who is really down on their luck and having a hard time in life, homeless, no job, no home, maybe no family and friends to speak of. And it's an odd feeling. And so when people are thinking about shelling out lots of money, they're thinking twice because of this big issue. Now, I don't have the answers. I'm not pretending I have the answers, and I don't know what the solutions are. And they're working on it here. They're coming up with different reasons. Now, the cost of living is part of the reason why there is a lot of homeless people, but there is a big mental health and drug addiction problem that we have here. And the homeless population is it's a little bit more welcomed here in the West LA area than other parts of Los Angeles. And I mean, just in general, Los Angeles is a little bit more accommodating to the homeless population compared to other counties and other states across the country. Also, the weather does play a big factor. Because we have such great weather, you can technically, live out on the streets and not be affected by snow, hurricanes, tornadoes, monsoons, rainstorms. And so it's a little bit easier to be outside. So the homeless population is a big factor. It's gotten worse over the years, and there's really no solutions in sight. There is some affordable housing that's coming in, but when we say affordable housing, it's really not that affordable. We're still talking about $600,000 to $700,000 for the unit. And if you're homeless, you're most likely don't have that cash on hand to buy a place. We also don't have a lot of shelters in the West Los Angeles portion of LA. So again, there's really not a lot of places for the homeless people to go. And because we have this homeless problem, it's not uncommon to see sometimes drug paraphernalia like needles or this trash just everywhere, and even on the beaches. It's quite sad for everybody. And so when you're moving to West LA, that is something that you should expect, at least for now. Okay, another reason why you may want to reconsider moving to the West Los Angeles area is crime. Now, crime is not nearly as bad here as it is in other parts of LA. But again, when you're spending this type of money in housing, it goes back to housing and your costs there, you probably don't really expect much crime, but there is crime here. Now, the good news is that there's not a lot of violent crime. It's more of theft and burglary, but it has changed quite a bit. When I was growing up and even in my young 20s, we didn't really come across this. I could leave my bike out on the porch and not worry about getting stolen. When I was a kid, leaving toys out the front yard, again, not getting stolen. Nowadays, it's a little bit of a different story. You generally don't leave anything on your front porch, and you put everything in your backyard and lock it away. And make sure you lock your cars, because we do have people coming around the neighborhood where they're just kind of lifting handles to see what car doors are left unlocked, and they get in and steal whatever they can. Now, not all of this is attributed to the homeless population, but there is a connection because they're finding ways to survive, and they're seeing if cars are open to, scrounge up any change they can or see whatever they can get to sell on the streets. So there is a connection to the homeless population and the crime, but it's not the total answer. There are many reasons why the crime is elevated in the West LA and in Los Angeles in general. But if you want to see crime stats, you go to lapdonline.org and you can look up crime stats there. And I suggest anywhere you go in Los Angeles, you go to that site and you can kind of get an idea of what's going on. And when you look at that site specifically, you want to look at the Pacific Division and the West Los Angeles Division. Both of those police divisions will handle the West LA region and give you an idea of what's going on. And it compares like a month over month statistics where you can see, is it increasing, is it decreasing? Again, violent crimes, those types of crimes, not really that prevalent in the West LA area. It's more about burglary, car theft, and car break-ins, and of that matter. Okay, our next reason why people don't like West Los Angeles and what's driving locals crazy is the traffic. I speak to this ad nauseum. Like I talk about it because it's just so true, and it's a part of West Los Angeles lifestyle and the living. It is what it is.
Always traffic. Always traffic.
Can't really get around it. So I'll mention it in this video because if you are someone that doesn't like to be stuck in traffic or doesn't want to be in their car for a good part of their day when they're commuting, then West Los Angeles is not the right place for you. We do not have rush hours here. We have free time, basically, because our rush hour, our busy times are from essentially 7, 8 o'clock in the morning to 11 in the morning. Then you have this free time between 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. and then from 2 p.m. on to 8, it is going to be traffic again. And this is not counting any construction they're doing on the freeways or the roads, or if there's an accident, forget it. That just screws everything up and you're stuck. So you've got to give yourself extra time. Even when you're looking at apps like Waze or Google Maps, they're telling you how long it takes. And honestly, you're looking at it and it's ticking up and up and up. I mean, it's not it's one thing when you start, but you could be halfway through your commute and it is adjusted its time. So give yourself an extra 20, 30 minutes to get wherever you're going if you're someone that wants to be on time, because you just never know what's going to happen in the streets in West LA or on the freeways. And the freeways, the 405 freeway and the 10 freeway, they basically, there's the interchange right there. They connect in the West LA area, and that is one of the busiest transitions you will ever come across in Los Angeles, probably the country. It is a nightmare, especially during those heavy commute times. And there's no way around it because the streets are clogged. This city was created around a car culture, and we just don't have the public transportation to relieve a lot of that stress. Now, for me, I just got used to it. Many people still haven't gotten used to it, even though they're born and raised here. And especially if you're from out of the area, people can't stand it. And for me, I just put on a good podcast, some music. I get some work done making calls in the car, and I do okay with it. But I will say that, because of this traffic, LA drivers can be a bit of a nightmare. We are on the go. We're laying on our horns. That light turns green, and a split second, the light turned green and you're getting honked at. So people aren't patient here, and a lot of it has to do with because everyone seems like they're running late because of the traffic. So just be prepared for a lot of traffic and some unruly drivers. Okay, our next reason why you may not want to live in the West LA area kind of follows up on what we just talked about in that traffic, but we have a pretty poor public transportation system here. We don't have much of it. We just lack the space, and the urban planning really is what happened. So the biggest public transportation line that we have, and it's also our newest, is the Exposition line, the Expo line. It runs east-west. It runs from Santa Monica all the way through West LA, through Culver City, and into the downtown area. Now, when I say new, about 10 years probably now it's going. It made use of the old rail line that we had that used to be used for cargo and shipping, and now it is more used for commuters. So the problem is it doesn't take you where you necessarily need to go, and we don't have really many feeder lines that come from this Expo line. The best you can do is get off there and hop on a bus, which is packed full and dirty, and I don't really recommend taking the buses around here. Hail an Uber, or you can get on a scooter. Because everything was planned around the car and urban sprawl and just a lack of planning, we just don't have the area to build much public transportation. Given how much traffic there is and how much people and how much development there is, there's no space. Now they tried to alleviate some of this by creating bike paths like along Venice Boulevard, but it's creating more of a mess because you took a whole lane away for traffic. Now their thought was, if we can get people out of the cars onto their bike, they're going to take public transportation. Well, that just isn't the case. It hasn't happened because, as I mentioned, our public transportation doesn't take you where you need to go. It just takes you to a general area, and that's it. Then you've got to figure it out from there. So we don't have a great subway system in the West LA area. We don't have a great rail line. Our buses aren't the greatest. So if you're coming from a city like San Francisco, New York, Chicago, Boston, those places that have a mass transit system that can get you pretty much where you want to go and where you need to be, don't expect that when moving to the West Los Angeles area. And in general, Los Angeles lacks a good public transportation system. Okay, our next topic is going to be taxes. But before I get into that, if you have a family or you're moving here thinking about starting a family, you're going to want to stay to the end, because my last topic talks about something that will affect people that are bringing kids over to West LA, and you're definitely going to want to stay tuned to see if West LA is still a good fit for you. So taxes. Los Angeles does have some of the higher taxes in the area, especially when it comes to sales tax. We're talking about 9.5% every time you purchase something, whether it's a small item or a large item. You're paying an additional 9.5%, and that adds up really quickly. It adds up to your bill. There's no doubt when you see it, you're like, oh yeah, I've got to already calculate that on top of what cost of goods are, which have also skyrocketed in the area as well. Now, the state sales tax is 6%, but when you're living in the Los Angeles area, they add another 3.5%. Now, our gas taxes are pretty high too, some of the highest in the country, where they add an additional 54 cents per gallon when our gas is already one of the highest across the country. Right now, as I'm launching this video, we're almost $5 a gallon, depending on where you are in the West LA area. but right around there. So with the additional tax, it just adds that much more to what you're paying at the pump, and you're already hurting by living in the West LA area. Then in the summer, it's even more because we have what we call a summer blend. Don't ask me what exactly it is. It's supposed to cut down on emissions or something. Who knows? But you are going to pay an exorbitant amount when it comes to gas taxes as well. Okay, let's talk about some of the taxes when it comes to housing. Now, you should know your property taxes here. You're going to be paying around 1.2% of the value of your property. Now, percentage-wise, that's actually pretty low across the country, but because our housing is so expensive here, it adds up really quickly. So again, if you're talking about a $1 million house at 1.2% every year, that's an additional $12,000 a year that you're paying in taxes. Now, remember, keep in mind where I said the median price is here, it's well above $1 million. So it adds up fast, even though the percentage is lower. And when you go to sell your home, we actually have taxes here for that as well. The city of Los Angeles charges you 0.5% of the sales price when you sell your home, and the county charges an additional $1.10 per $1,000 of the sales price. Now, there is a new law that's taking effect. Oh, that rate is between, if you sell a house, between $100 up to $4,999,000. There is a new law that took effect as of April 1st, 2023. They're going to implement what they call the mansion tax. So if you're selling a home that's between $5 million and $10 million, you're paying an additional 4.5%. Now, if your home is if your home that you're selling is $10 million or above, you're paying an additional 5%. So again, it depends on your price point here. But if you are considering those super high-end homes, it is something that you want to think about upon the sale of the home if you ever get to that point. So you can see with the cost of goods, anytime you're purchasing something or housing, it just adds up when you have these additional expenses and the taxes here to expect when living in the West Los Angeles area. Okay, we're going to change gears here a little bit, but another reason why people may not enjoy living in the West Los Angeles area is there is kind of this lack of cohesion when it comes to the rest of the city. Because we're so sprawled out and because traffic is so bad, see, all of these things intertwine and they all connect to make these reasons why you may not want to live in West LA. But the lack of cohesion with the rest of the city is pretty prevalent because generally you're not commuting to eastern portions of LA or the South Bay or the Valley or downtown just because it's so hard to get there that you really don't feel connected to other parts of the city. You almost feel like you're your own entity, and vice versa. The people living in those areas don't really feel vastly connected to you living in West LA, because when you're living in downtown, you're pretty much, I mean, that's your lifestyle. That's where you're going to be, is downtown area. You may head out to the beach once in a while, but for the most part, you're living the downtown lifestyle. If you're living in the eastern side, like Los Feliz, Eagle Rock, and those places, that's going to be your community. You may head over into the Valley a little bit. You may head into downtown, but you're not heading so much into West LA. Same with the Valley. I mean, there's been a long rivalry between the Valley and West Los Angeles. I've got a video about that, the differences between the two, because they're literally connected by the Santa Monica Mountains and the Sepulveda Pass. But a lot of times you don't really make the commute over the hill because of traffic. And again, you just don't feel connected to those people living in the Valley. And when you're living in places like Culver City, in the West LA area and Santa Monica, you're really not heading into the South Bay too much either, because again, you're sitting in traffic. So you don't really feel this connection with the rest of the city. Now, so if you're someone that's used to that, just having this overall feel of, hey, I want to feel like I'm connected to Los Angeles and everybody in it, you're not going to get that living in the West LA area. But the reality is, wherever you choose to live in Los Angeles, you're not going to get that. So I've mentioned it in my other videos, where you choose to live, that just kind of becomes your place of entertainment. It's where you're going to meet most of your friends. Hopefully you have some family there. Work, hopefully you're working in the same area, so you're not on the roads commuting. But again, when you choose the area, the region in Los Angeles that you're going to be living in, you can expect to kind of stay within those boundaries and within those areas. All right, for those people that are moving from out of the state, we have a lack of seasons. We just don't have your 4 full seasons. We don't much have a winter, and we don't really have a fall. It's pretty much spring and summer all year round. Now, again, there are many, many positives and great reasons of why this may be beneficial, or you may love it. I personally enjoyed it because I would get to be outside pretty much all year round, and I just love the sun. But if you're someone that craves the seasons and wants to feel kind of that change in the atmosphere, change in time, then you're not going to get that. West LA is probably not the right area for you. And frankly, all of Los Angeles probably won't be the right area for you or the right city. But yeah, we don't get much rain here. So it's not all that green compared to other parts of the country or even other parts of California. And you're not going to see the beautiful fall foliage. I mean, in some areas, you'll see some trees changing color here and there. But in general, you're not going to get that cityscape view of the fall colors. So sometimes when you're living here, you may just feel like time just kind of stands still in some ways. It's a little hard to explain until you really experience it. But because we don't get that change in seasons, you don't get that really like, oh yeah, it's fall, or oh yeah, it's winter, because it's pretty much, oh yeah, it's another sunny day, which again, positives, right? But if you're someone that yearns that change, then this area is definitely not for you. Now, we do get a little bit of a change in June. During the summer, we get June gloom, a little May gray before that, where the fog rolls in. But outside of that, I mean, that's kind of our season. Good news is we don't get hurricanes, we don't get tornadoes, we don't get monsoons, we don't have to shovel snow, we don't have to buy extra clothes for those super cold months. Now, we just did go through some historical rainstorms, but again, that's pretty abnormal for the area. Okay, let's talk about another reason why West LA may not be the right fit for you, and that is air quality. Now, you may be thinking, how could air be bad? You're living right by the ocean, you're along the coast, and yes, the air quality in West Los Angeles is certainly probably some of the best air quality you're going to get throughout all of Los Angeles, especially when you consider parts of the valley where the smog just kind of sits in that valley bowl, or into the east side of Los Angeles where it also gets trapped. So the wind and the offshore winds will blow a lot of the smog to the north into the valley, to the east into downtown in those areas, but it still is pretty prevalent here where the air quality is surprisingly pretty bad, especially if people have like asthma or any breathing conditions. You can certainly feel it here. And it's just a weird feeling again, because you assume by living right by the coast that you're going to have pristine weather. But because of all the industry that we have here, and because of, well, frankly, the amount of cars and traffic that we're just idling and sitting there, you can't avoid having just this smog or this kind of yellowish layer that's hovering over you, even if you're just a couple miles away from the ocean. So air quality, it might be a surprise to you, but if you're someone that's really sensitive to air quality conditions, then West LA or LA in general may not be the right fit for you. Okay, we are on our last reason of why West Los Angeles might not be the right spot for you, and that is schools. Now, I mentioned earlier in the video, if you've got a family, you're planning a family, you've got kids, this is something you're gonna wanna hear, because West Los Angeles has some really good schools, but also some pretty crappy schools. You can go to greatschools.org and check out the scores there. And I've done videos where scores don't tell the full picture of a school, and I still stand by that. However, it gives you an overview. West LA is a place you're going to spend millions of dollars for a house, and you might be in a poor school zone, which is hard to believe. And it's crazy, because to get into the better school neighborhood, you may have to pay an extra few $100,000 to do that. I don't have all of the reasons of why this is true. I know we do have quite a few really good private schools. You've got Harvard Westlake, you've got Windward, you've got Crossroads, Brentwood. These places kind of take away from the public school system, in that a lot of people in West LA have quite a bit of money, so they choose to send to private schools, which takes a lot of kids and money out of our public schools. And in West LA, we do have a problem with big class sizes. My mom was a teacher, so I've seen firsthand experience on what she dealt with class size, some of the restrictions with LA Unified. Now, Los Angeles Unified School District is enormous, is way too big, and it should be cut in different regions, because it can't handle itself. And there's so much politics involved, too much control, and it really needs to be separated so you can have more of a local, regionalized control to get these school systems better, because frankly, LA is just too big in general. And so it makes it really problematic when running a whole school system. And because West Los Angeles is part of the Los Angeles Unified School District, it presents a problem. Now, within West LA, you do have Culver City, which is a separate city, and Santa Monica, which is a separate city. Those two cities actually have really, really good public school system. But again, you're going to be paying a premium dollar to live in those particular cities in the West LA region. So it is really sad that, again, you're living in these high-end areas. There's expensive food, expensive restaurants, expensive housing, and yet the schools aren't that great. And you really have to kind of dive deep into finding the right neighborhoods with the right schools that fit what you're looking for in that school. Now, I will say where we've made a lot of headway is there are great language immersion programs that are popping up in all sorts of West Side schools where you can go to elementary school and your kids are learning to speak multi-languages from a very young age. They've got Spanish immersion, they've got Cantonese immersion, Japanese immersion, French immersion, and there's more. I'm probably missing some, but great opportunities for kids to become bilingual from such a young age. So I will say that is a positive when it comes to the schools in the West Los Angeles, that you do have those opportunities. And when you compare schools in West LA to other parts of Los Angeles, I would say that West LA in general, it has some really good schools. But again, if you're just looking specifically in the West LA region, you're going to really want to do your due diligence and ask questions. Talk to the schools, talk to the administrators, the teachers, talk to your neighbors where they're sending their kids to school. Oh, that's another thing I wanted to mention. You can live in a neighborhood, and this, I've experienced this firsthand. Literally on my block, there was four families, kids, all four went to different schools. So you will find that, and that's just on my block, let alone the neighborhood. You will find that even though you live in a neighborhood, that a lot of neighborhood kids don't go to the same school. So sometimes it's harder to make those connections for your kids to where they carry the friendship from the neighborhood into school, and in school, vice versa, back to your neighborhood. Because a lot of kids are going all over the place. They may be going to private school elsewhere. They may have gotten some sort of special pass to go to a different public school in a different area. So something to keep in mind. It's a little hard to navigate. And there actually are professionals that will help you navigate the Los Angeles school system, because there are waiting lists to get into some of the good schools. And there are point systems to get in some of the magnet schools. The magnet programs here can be quite terrific. But again, you need to, if you're not in that neighborhood, you need to get on a special list. And there's a point system, and it's crazy. So actually, if you do need extra help on that, we can help you with that as well. So keep in mind, families moving here, schools are important, of course. So make sure you do your research. So not sure if I scared you off from moving to West Los Angeles. Again, there are many great reasons to moving to West LA. Go check out one of my other videos about that. But these may be some reasons why you may not want to, or may discourage you from moving to the West Los Angeles area. As always, if you are thinking about making a move or relocating to Los Angeles, I am here to help. Make sure you reach out to us, phone call, text, email. We love the communication. Also, if you like what you see, make sure you subscribe, tap the bell to get notified, hit that like button, comment below. We love to hear from our audience.